Hey, everybody, this is your boy John. And as always, this is a new episode of Geeks from the Multiverse. And today we're going to be talking about geek therapy. It's going to be quite interesting. I know Matt knows a lot more about this, but you know what? We're going to get right into it. Hey, what's up, y'all? So, again, this is your boy John. And as always, with me is Matt.
What's up, everybody?
So, today we're going to be talking about geek therapy, right? So, little new idea, relatively, I would say. I mean, for the most part, it's something that I'm glad that somebody made it because honestly,
Yeah.
when we deal with like today's culture, right? I mean, we understand that, mental health and addiction and all these things can really come into play. So a lot of like, gamers don't really get that same connected kind of, I guess way of, dealing with the world and how they see it and it's pretty sad, cuz like,
Yeah.
when you and I when we play a game, right? I mean, we've talked about how let's say for example morality in gaming, right? I'm not saying that we don't see the world differently than others, but like, if let's say I was a hardcore gamer, did all this and then like, you know, I only relate to let's say video games or comic book characters or anime or things like that, and it's really hard for me to really connect to like other people.
Right.
Just like normal, I would say
Yeah.
everyday
I mean,
people.
you have somebody like, how are you feeling right now in this moment? And I mean, I'm one I can tell you right now, like, um, I don't know.
Right? You're like,
But that's the
maybe.
reality of the situation. And, this Geek Therapy is a nonprofit organization, and what they do is great. And we're going to talk about it in a minute. But, John, I do have to mention, we a couple episodes ago, we talked about kind of that controversial topic of Marvel and how they're changing things, right?
Well, hold on. I wouldn't say just Marvel. I would say Disney. Disney is really taking the helm on this whole
Yeah.
thing. But go ahead.
So I've read not just one article, but there were three that I actually saw, and it was on a Fantastic Four potential casting. And we all know Silver Surfer, right?
Oh no, I know him very well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they are reportedly eyeing Anya Taylor Joy as a quote unquote gender bent Silver Surfer.
So I'm gonna stop you right there. The last few words you just said, gender bent Silver Surfer.
Yep.
What in the world does that mean? Because like when I think of gender bent, I'm thinking more like you're just trying to recreate the will by saying, okay, you know what, we're gonna have a female play a male role, or vice versa, kind of like when we.
Yeah, I mean I think of like Shakespeare, like or Monty Python, like where they have
Yeah.
males playing females. It was never the other way around, really. I mean, you never
No.
really saw females playing males, but you usually saw the other way around. But when I hear gender bent, I feel like it could go like they're looking at it in two ways where you'll either have a female Silver Surfer or she will be female but will be a male character,
I mean,
which either way sounds completely wrong.
no, I know, but I also think like gender fluid. You know what I mean? Like we don't really. I mean, I'll say this: like with Silver Surfer, it was never really determined. I would say in the long run, really, if it was a male or female. In some ways, because I mean, yes, it had male characteristics, right? But like that character could technically, if they didn't want to have certain, body parts or certain things like that, they could make it gender fluid. And I think that's the problem where I think Disney needs to be very careful on, like we've already talked about, how there's a lot of characters that have been done as, let's say, originally male, but then they transform them into females and
Right.
so on and so forth. So it's like they need to be careful with that because, like, we've already talked about, like, you were already destroying the origin of the comics, right? Because a lot of these stories, even of course, yes, I get it, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, right? So the golden era of like comics, they majority of it was male. But I'm not saying there weren't, female superheroes and things like that. But like, when you start recreating everything now, and we need to have it more, a part of this society that we are, both living in,
Right.
it just it doesn't make any sense in some ways. It's like
Yeah,
you
and
don't need to recreate
it's
it.
not like Silver Surfer is like a human from Earth either. You know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly.
So if you're gonna do it this way, maybe not have her play Silver Surfer, but create something maybe new. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you can go new with Silver Surfer, but I'm assuming most of the people on this planet probably were silver.
Oh yeah, no, no, right.
I have no idea. I mean, I know he's from a different planet, but I think ideally, like if they were eyeing her for any role, it might be Nova. But I know Nova's also a male character.
Right, but what was his original name?
Richard Ryder.
So you mean Dick Ryder, right? Is that, is that what I'm hearing? Like Dick Ryder? I
Oh
mean, you're like,
boy.
oh, I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah.
Boys or girls, I apologize. No,
Oh
actually, I
boy.
really don't care. But no, I just think it's funny
You know,
because
you can dress him up, you can take him out, but you put a microphone in front of his face and you don't know what comes out.
you really don't. But no, but what I'm saying is it's true, right? I mean, because unfortunately, you're right. Another name for Richard is Dick. I mean, sorry, it just kind of fits. But
Hey, I mean,
I mean, it
she
just kind of
did
fits the story.
she did just do the voice of Peach, so
Oh, man, you want to talk about me? Talk about Matt. He doesn't even know what's coming out of his mouth.
No, I don't.
No, no, but like it's just
I think this is terrible. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think this is like I can take a Pedro Pascal, although I don't think he needs to play every single like. He hasn't done a comic book character, so let's put him in. He hasn't done a video. Oh, now he's in a video game character. What next? Like he's gonna just take every genre of, you know, everything. Like he's in Star Wars. He's now going to be in Marvel. Hey, let's make him in DC too. Like let's just put him. Let's put him everywhere.
well, and that's the thing about like certain actors like that. You don't need to have you know really an actor like that who can play. We already know he can play a lot of things. We already seen him in Last of Us. We've already seen him in Mando and things of that nature. Like I don't really want to continue to see him in other things
Like
because
in everything, yeah.
right, especially in Disney. Like don't get me wrong, man. You're a great actor. You've done a lot of amazing roles, but you don't need to play.
Maybe he should be James Bond next.
You know what? Maybe he should. Maybe he should just like throw it out there. But no, but I mean, do other things. You don't have to be, a part of that Marvel kind of realm. I mean, because like he does things on his own, and I think he's kind of, you know what he should do? He should go over to DC. I think he should really go over and try something dark. I think that's what he should do. That's
Ye-
just me.
I I got no words for that, but
And like I
think
said,
I think he can do well in the role. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, having this potential news, and it's literally just a rumor. You know what I mean? It may not be a thing, and I think the backlash of this, like, if Marvel's going to continue down this road, and I hate pushing this narrative. Like, I wish we didn't have to push this narrative, but like to date, the Marvels have still made less money than the Flash. Like,
no,
I said it in that episode that it was going to make less money in the opening weekend, and it did, and it still hasn't made the amount of money that they made the movie with.
no, I agree. I mean, I think that the Marvels, it's gonna do okay, but it's not gonna really be like the best thing. And we've already
Over
mentioned
time,
this.
I think it's going to do well, but it's one of those things like
It's honestly, it's not gonna hit $1 billion.
you're going to push this narrative, and you're going to keep doing these types of castings. Every single project that you're going to do from now on, people aren't going to be interested in.
Well, I already just said like it's not gonna hit $1 billion. It's probably, if I'm gonna take a guess, right? I'm gonna say it's probably gonna hit maybe 300-400 million, and that's really pushing it. That's pushing it.
You know how much the Guardians 3 made?
I don't even remember how much.
I think it was like 485.
Okay, I would say probably. Then you know what? I'm gonna retract that. I'm gonna say 250, 300. I'm gonna say that's probably the most it's gonna make. I don't think it's gonna. And if you know what, if it even makes more than that, great. But like honestly, I'm not gonna see that movie really do, above and beyond 500 million.
No,
it's just not gonna happen.
It's probably not going to happen. And this would be a terrible casting. I think there's, and I think we said this in that episode, like, does it really freaking matter whether you refer to Silver Surfer as a him or a her? Like
Just making it
the whole character. I mean, he doesn't have a penis anyways. Like if you look at the
No,
character,
I
he hasn't even drawn with one.
No,
Like
no, I know, but like, yes, the problem is
so does it matter if you refer to him as I don't think it does. He's a Silver Surfer. You just
the problem is like like again in the original comic books, like he has like he has abs, like it's like full on abs but again doesn't have like he doesn't have breasts, like it like you know what I mean, but it's like he was drawn as a
he
male,
actually
but
doesn't have anything.
no, I understand, but he's got abs, and that was the problem. And so,
Yeah.
like, they assumed he was a male, but like again, they didn't really specify. Like, okay, this character is a male character. It's like, okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, if you do look at his story, he is an actual male in the story.
Right.
But you look at the character. I mean, he doesn't have a penis. He doesn't have boobs. Like, he doesn't have anything that would signify like this is my gender, and it really matters to me that you call me. No, you don't. Silver Surfer is who he is. I mean, he's pretty much like indestructible, anyways. But
Well, right. I mean, Galactus gave him the powers, but yeah, no, but I agree with you. I mean, when it comes down to casting, I mean, I just think that they need to go back to the drawing board,
I
and
mean,
they, you know,
do
kind of
they need to pick somebody like The Rock? No. I mean, I think
No,
you
no,
can
no.
go with a smaller framed guy
yeah, who's
who
beefy.
maybe doesn't have like rock hard abs and can do the peck dance like
Look, as long as they don't do like a Mike like a Michael Keaton, Batman, like with the, what I'm talking about, the rubber suit and like, come on, really? Do I really need to spell that out for you?
You mean George Clooney with the bat nipples?
Was it? I thought. Well, no, I thought Michael Keaton had the
No,
same thing.
Michael Keaton had a good suit.
But I thought he had a. No, did he?
No,
Not?
I don't think he had bat nipples, John.
Oh, I thought he did. But anyways, okay, so fine. Yes, George Clooney for sure. But like, as long as they don't do that, don't make it cheesy. Like, make it more.
Or like
as
Green
realistic
Lantern,
Oh, don't even get me started. Now, so I will say this before we move on. Matt and I, a while back, we were talking about our fantasy league that we've been doing. And I know, Matt, right now, I will just say this. You know what? I'm not even going to go there, Matt. Why don't you tell them how you're doing right now in fantasy football? Because I could explain my situation, but please.
Well, I mean, I'm in third right now, and I actually feel pretty good that I picked up Zach Moss.
Oh yeah,
today.
Okay, because wait, what's going on this week, Matt? Like what?
Well, you are against me, but before I picked up Zach Moss, I was actually quite worried, but now I'm actually not because I think I have a pretty good solid lineup with Zach Moss in there.
Okay. No, so I guess what I
hope Tyreek Hill's legs like literally fall off during practice.
Oh, do they? Is that right? Is that what you want? Because you know who I actually got back finally? Two of them actually. I got Kyron Williams, who finally came out of injured reserve, and I also got Devon O'Shane, who I know right now is questionable. But see, the thing is they're already looking at him as like, yeah, he's ready to play. So I'm like, all right, man, come on, go ahead and play, man. Go ahead.
It could very well be, but I think you're still looking at a committee. But anyways, I mean,
don't even.
Between him and Most Hard.
Most Hard?
Most Hard.
Most Hard. Sorry, go ahead.
Mustard. Miami does what they've always done, and it'll be a committee because they're not going to risk Achane before the playoffs. I can guarantee that.
I mean,
now looking at your lineup, yes, you certainly do have players that can get points.
Oh, yes, they can.
And my lineup, and like a lot of other people in our league, Scott's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel's one of them.
Of course they are.
We've been plagued by injuries.
Hold on a second.
No.
Did you just say that you
on the
guys...
other hand, have had players like Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb and Mostert who have not been injured all season, and they've been playing good. We've all been victims of quarterbacks going down.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're saying that none of my good players have ever been injured or have basically been kicked out of the whole season.
What's your record and where are you at in your place right now?
No.
I want to know your record and where you're placed right now.
Okay, fine.
And where you have been placed all season.
And I'm not gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna say this, folks. Okay, yes, I am in first place. I will say that. Don't get me wrong, because there was a time that I honestly thought I was going to lose. There was a few times that I thought I was going to lose. just all of a sudden, yes, I wasn't as worried because I told Matt, I made a prediction. I said, okay, you watch, because he was in first place and I was in second. So
For 1 week.
but I'm just saying there was a time.
All 13 weeks before, you were first place the whole time, and no one has actually come close.
I was not first place. There was a time where I went back to second place.
Oh, wow.
I think it was like one time, but it's fine. No.
I started in seventh, and I fought to get all the way to first, and now I'm in third place because of injuries.
Okay, and
my lineup's not bad, but it's Joe Burrow went down.
Joe Burrow. Oh wait, the guy who I had, and then
my main quarterback went down.
Okay,
which was Anthony Richardson.
Right, and then you had Dak, who you now have, and so he's a good starter right now. So I don't even want to hear you say anything bad about that. I'm just saying that fine. My record right now is 17-7. Okay, yes, I have the best record in the league. Now I will say this. There was a couple times, which, yes, like I said, there were times that I was nervous. In the very, very first game, I got very lucky. There was I will admit, that was a very lucky game. It was not I honestly thought I was going to lose the first game. Okay, so what? I didn't. You're right. The one time. But yes, I also have had players get injured, and I've had to look around, and I've had to do all these things, and I was nervous for a while. And then, because I was worried about not getting my players back, who were on injured reserve for several weeks.
You're talking someone like T. Higgins, who's not a Tyreek Hill or a Mostert or a CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, but like again, I still needed players to be able to help me out as well, just like you guys when you had
You probably could still win with C.J. Stroud, Tyreek Hill, and just CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, C.J. Stroud is rookie quarterback, okay? But yes, phenomenal.
Who has not gone under 18 points a game.
Which is, okay, you're right, because I picked him up a while back because I saw that, and it's funny how I saw him, like, actually have an interview with Tom Brady, which I thought that was kind of cool. But no, the point is that I'm trying to make is like, yes, we'll see how this goes. I understand that I'm versing you this week, and then next week I'm going to be versing Scott. And then, yeah, after that, we're going to be playing in the playoffs, and then we're going to see who really is, in the top, top three, really, in this case. I mean, really, it's the top.
The way this is going, and I will do a salty prediction here because
please do.
I'm going against you, and then I go against, I believe, Scott, who is Knights, right? Scott is Knights?
No, he's Hammerheads. No, and you're not going against Scott.
No, Scott is Hammerheads. Scott's dad is Knights.
Oh, yeah. No, but
I'm going against
Scott's dad,
Craig, who I believe has already beaten me at least once. And looking at my projections for that game and this game, like I said, unless some of your players' legs or arms fall off, like
listen,
I will be actually lucky if I place 5th or 6th.
Really? Is that what you think? Is that what you're gonna place in 5th or 6th?
Well, right now I'm in 3rd. So if I lose to you and I don't make the median, then I'll go probably down to 4th or 5th.
Because right now you're tied between Scott and, was it Craig?
Craig is 71 points ahead of me.
No. I'm talking about like
we have the same record, but he's 71 points ahead of me.
So the three of you are in the same bracket, but like yes, I know Craig is now 2nd. And then, like I said, I know Scott is now
I would need him to lose this week, which I highly doubt he is.
No. Well, you never know. I mean, again, who knows? I mean, like that's the thing. I mean, I never know if I'm going to win. There's a couple times I lost.
I think Zach Moss, because I don't know if you knew the news from Jonathan Taylor, but he just had surgery on his thumb, I think, today.
Oh, you know what's funny?
He's going to be probably out the whole time that we're doing fantasy football.
Yeah, but what's funny is I got rid of Zach Moss a while back, knowing that he was like, it's kind of like that up in the air thing. And then you were like, I'm pretty sure your exact words were, you should get rid of Zach Moss. And then now look at you picking up Zach Moss because now here you are.
Well, weeks 2 through 4 were his best.
Well, right. And then everything else was kind of like.
And then when Jonathan Taylor came back in week 5 and they slowly ramped Jonathan Taylor up, but now Jonathan Taylor is at least out for 2 to 3 weeks, which we only have 3 weeks after this.
Well, right. So really it's the playoffs. I mean, during that time.
And so when he was the lead guy, he was above 20 points. I think it was 20.7 at least above that for 3 of those 4.
Oh no,
And he's playing the Houston team,
oh really?
and that was his highest point game of the season. He got 33 points, I believe. In our league, it was probably like 35, but
Yeah, probably. But since we've talked about some fantasy football, the only reason why I mentioned this is because we've mentioned it before, and
Scott is going against Craig, by the way, and projected 45% to 55%. So
wait.
if Scott does in fact beat Craig and I beat you, I have a chance.
Oh, sorry. If you beat me, okay.
If I at least make the median and he loses and not makes the median, but I
Right.
highly doubt it. I mean,
So basically, Scott has to win. At least just the win, and not even just the medium. And
yeah,
you would
Scott
have to
has
get the
to
medium.
win. Craig never fills his freaking spots at all. I don't know why.
I don't know. I try to keep my team as filled as I can. But anyways, let's get back to the main.
Yes. So
lineup
Geek
here.
Therapy, this is just kind of an awesome nonprofit organization that honestly, I stumbled upon it just, searching for episode ideas, and this one just kind of popped out, and it's been around since 2011, and they are helping professionals integrate geek culture into their work. They have a method that's called therapeutic and applied geek and gaming, which is TAGG.
Or tag. Sorry, is it
I
tag?
can't even with you. So if you think of like psychologists or mental health professionals using comic books, social skills groups like playing D&D, recreational therapists using anime, or even like teachers in schools using video games like to teach history and other subjects.
So hold on, I'll stop you there. Imagine if your teacher was playing Assassin's Creed to teach you about history. Like, imagine if you could go back to like the Italian Renaissance and like learn about Leonardo da Vinci, or like play Unity and go into like the French Revolution and like do all that, or like even go back to like Assassin's Creed 3 and like start learning about the American Revolutionary War, and doing all that.
Or even, I mean, you can, granted, Red Dead Redemption probably isn't
no,
great
probably not the
game
best,
for
no.
for younger kids, but like if you think of like just going into the game and exploring different parts of that game, that world in the game, even Assassin's Creed, like different games, different, you play Black Flag, being able to walk around the ships.
Yeah. Start learning about Blackbeard and like all
sailing them around, and just walking around, and like you can explain different things. Like this is what they're trying to accomplish with their nonprofit, is they're trying to teach teachers and therapists and psychologists of how to use using comic books within therapy, saying like we have this book. I don't have a book in front of me, but we have this comic book. Why don't you open it up and tell me if there's a character that you can relate to, how you're feeling right now? And somebody can open up that book and be like, oh yeah, this guy right here is kind of like how he's drawn is kind of how I feel right now. And that opens up like a world of communication.
Right. I mean, actually I was thinking about it. So like, when we were just talking about like psychologists using D&D, the first thing I would say is like the mandated nerd. No, I'm not. No, actually what you should do is be like, you are going to wear run D&D as a shirt. That's what you have to, like, that is a mandated thing. So you hear this, Matt? I need you to create this shirt, and I need you to go up to them and say, excuse me.
The shirt's already in our store, dude.
What? You already did it?
I did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's in there.
Oh, that's good to know, guys and gals. So you should definitely check it out. But no, what I'm saying is now you should call them up and say, excuse me, here's my shirt. I need you to, make sure that people start wearing it. But
it's a cool thing. I mean, like D&D, yes, like it gets kind of a bad rap, but what it does is it sparks creativity, it sparks communication, it sparks like community within a group, because you have to use your social skills. You have to, be able to explain and act out certain things, and you have to think of, what you're going to do to overcome certain obstacles, or when you're in battle, like D&D is like a great tool for therapy if you think about it.
No, I agree. I mean, granted, I've already told you I've never played, but I know we have to, play it at some point, which I'd be interested to play it at some point. But let's talk about who created this actual geek therapy.
Yeah.
So on June 24th, 2011, Josue, yes, I had to say it, Josue, okay,
Oh boy.
Cardona, okay, was working as a mental health counseling intern and asked to use video games with his clients. Hmm.
Let me guess. His supervisor was no.
No. So the supervisor did say no. And Josue went home and
You
cried.
just say it normal.
No, I'm sorry, Josue. No, I got to say it right. I can't say it wrong. Josue. Okay. He went home and cried. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he didn't.
He went home and created a curated news website about the positive applications of video games and other staples of geek culture, which is cool. Which, again, he then called it geek therapy. So I'm glad that this guy realized he was like, you know what? I'm going to say it. He basically said, fuck you. And he's like, I'm not going to deal with your shit.
He didn't give up, and he was obviously very passionate about using video games with clients in certain ways. And I mean, obviously, I don't know.
I mean, he stuck it to the man. That's what he
I'm
did.
assuming he didn't just go, "Can I use video games with my clients?" No. Okay. Like I'm assuming
no.
like he was explaining like why he would use video games. And I can understand like when you're talking mental health, this is not something that counselors are getting trained to do. So, video
Right.
games, comic books, D&D, all of these things that like we would connect with goes out the window as soon as you like walk into Manchester Mental Health. Like that's they want you to sit in a chair so they can talk to you and go, "Tell me how you're feeling right now."
I feel like shit. Can you help me figure out why?
Well, and
You
that's
know,
the thing
no,
like
no, I know.
for me like and I've been, in counseling a couple of times and you get asked the question and it's like, "Why don't you tell me? I don't know how I'm feeling. Like I can describe it to you, but why don't you tell me how I'm feeling because I can't put it into words."
Right.
But if I was reading a book or we were playing a game and I can go, "Hey, you see that guy right there? Like that's how I feel."
Right, and I agree that with therapy, I mean, you can try to pinpoint it as best as you can, but like, having especially like people like this, right? So if like you like video games or comic books or really anything that deals with, typically geek culture, which again, we've already described in the past, like geek culture doesn't necessarily have to be what we like in this case,
Wide open.
but, in this very stereotypical kind of setting. Yeah, so like when you talk about like, video games or comics or whatever, like having the ability to, at least to be able to relate to people, right? Because like that's another common thing with, mental health is you need to find a common ground. And I know Matt knows this. So like you need to find a common sort of like middle ground, like saying, hey, how can I relate to this person real quick? And how can I, find that little common piece of it so where I can be like, okay, you know what, let me talk to him and he can trust me and I can trust him and we can have an open line of communication. And so
Right.
like this is just another like step in the right direction where, especially with, gamers and, nerds and whatnot, they can at least try to open up, in a different way, which is nice because like
Yeah.
before, like we've already talked about, we never had, video game addiction as a real thing in the DSM-5. And so like, or even really the previous DSMs. And so now that they're, a real thing, it's like, oh, hey, look, now you can use this as a tool.
And I don't know if it's really video gaming that's in there. I think it's
I
just
thought it was
game.
video game addiction.
I think it's just gaming. I think they labeled it as gaming more of like it could cover video games, but I think it also covers like gambling, like you're
Oh,
playing
like
it in the dark.
online gambling. I mean, I understand, but like I feel like it should be specified in that sense. But I get what
There's a
you're
lot
saying.
of things that should be specified, but from the point of when he, curated the website and made the website calling it Geek Therapy, he eventually went on to develop it as a mindset and a model for integrating geek culture into mental health practice, education, and a lot more.
So, Matt, I'm not gonna lie. If I could meet Josue Cardona, I honestly would love to pick his brain. I think that's what we need to do. I would love to reach out to this guy.
I actually did reach out to this guy.
Did you really reach out to him?
I actually
Did,
sent him an
did
email.
you say,
I haven't
hello,
gotten
Josue, I need to talk to you about
I
geek
haven't
therapy?
gotten a response,
Of
but
course you haven't.
I actually did send them an email. So
Well, that's good.
I guess
Maybe,
we'll see. I've been looking at the email, seeing if they sent anything, but they haven't.
oh
But
man, I wish I would have known that. I wish I could have
I'll
talked to
probably
them.
keep sending emails because I too would love to like connect. Like this is a nonprofit that I think us as geeks from the multiverse could really get behind and support.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to support this guy.
Like what they're doing is really really cool. And I'll read the mission to you guys, not to
Well, I
you
mean,
because you
clearly
can
not to
read it
me. No, I
yourself.
could. Yeah, that's right.
So the mission is we advocate for the effective and meaningful use of popular media in therapeutic, educational, and community practice. We provide education and resources so helping professionals, educators, and community leaders can better understand the communities they serve through media that matters.
I mean, so we talk about how like social media and our I guess really how technology can be used in a very awful sense, right? So like we talk about how like it's terrible, it's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad because I know that there's a lot of things that are definitely bad, but like if you use it in a correct manner and if you use it in a more balancing manner and factor of life, it can be very helpful in a lot of different ways. And so like I mean, think about it. Every business or everything that you do in your life, I mean, people will say, "Oh, I'm a blue collar, guy or whatever." Like, okay, guess what? You're still using a phone. You're still using a tablet. You're still using something that like has to deal with technology. So it's like you can't get rid of technology. It is clearly there. I'm not saying that every person on the planet shouldn't like, especially if like let's say you're 65 and older. Like, okay, you know what? You're right. You know what? It's very simple to use an iPhone. I'm not gonna lie. Click, 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 clack. That's it. Okay. Yeah. If I gave you my Samsung, I guarantee you'd be like, uh, how do I work this thing? And how do I open it up? How do I do that? I'm like, yeah, let me just get you an iPhone. Okay. Like clearly
Yeah.
you need this, but like what I'm saying is like technology is definitely very well, um, just it's great in so many different levels, but we also give it a bad rep because it doesn't necessarily mean that, it needs to be in a bad, manner or a sense, but it's like, we are living in a world where this is what it is. I mean, look, I mean, Matt and I literally are using technology as we speak. I mean, this is how we record, right? Because I mean, before you had to be like, I don't even know, like it would have just been like in a giant recording studio with like a bunch of like different microphones, and it's not as. I mean, we're basically using this on a smaller scale, but like we have the ability to do so. But
Right.
like back then, you couldn't do that. Like you had to go to like a huge recording studio. There was like different things going on, and it was like we have so many simple pieces of equipment and it's so easy to use. But, I'm just saying that technology, man, don't give it a bad rep. You
Yeah. I
know,
mean, and I do like in their mission, like they mention just media. Like they don't say, use of popular video games or use of popular comic books. Like they just simply say media, which can leave it just wide open to, video games, comic books, anime. It could be art. It could be music. It could be anything that is relatable to somebody who says like, yeah, I'm a geek. I've been in band my whole life. I've played music my whole life. And then I go to this counselor and all he wants to do is talk, but all I can think of is music.
well,
Well,
yeah.
integrate music with the therapy and you have somebody who is connected.
So, I mean, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's true. I mean, because media doesn't necessarily mean, like I just said, like technology and things like that, but like looking at music, looking at, art, looking at video gaming, looking at anything
I mean,
basically,
obviously,
like
if you're into
whatever.
guns, don't bring that into your therapy.
No,
Like,
please don't. Like
yeah,
that's a terrible idea.
find something else.
Like fishing. No, guys, just go fishing instead. It's okay. Um, but no, I agree. I mean, the mission is great. I think it definitely hits the mark. It's not something that needs to be overcomplicated, especially with what he's trying to do.
Right.
But the theory
The theory is really cool.
And that, you know what? I'll read this one because I'm curious about this. So, geek therapy is an affinity based model, and the theory has three key components. Okay, so it's affinity, resonance, yeah, resonance, yeah,
Yep.
and then understanding. So, which work together as a formula. Affinity resonance equals understanding, or A plus R equals you.
Me?
Just you. So it's curious because like it's interesting how they use that as kind of like their key concept, for what they're trying to do. So the goal of affinity, for example, right, is to facilitate reaching new insights or understanding about a person through affinity. An affinity based model, therefore, it's worth spending time with the word and why I prefer to the terms such as interest, like love or preference. The key part is the attraction, right? And so when I say that a client has an affinity for something, I mean that they may not be able to explain why they like it or prefer it. They just they just do. It just makes them feel something, usually positive. Or so but when Matt was saying, right? So like when he's just like, okay, why do you feel that way? Well, because that's just the way I feel. Like it's
Yeah.
just the way it is. So it's hard to explain, right? So it's like but if you can find a way to connect, in this case, or like show them a comic book or show them like let's say a video game or something like that, real quick. And you're like, I feel like that guy. Like that's exactly how I feel right now. Then you might be able to understand where they're coming from, even though they may not tell you, they may show you. Like in this case, like if you're showing them like it's like a picture book, like, hey, what about this? That's exactly how I feel. Well, then you're at least getting somewhere.
Yeah, and they use affinity to like, if you have a certain color preference, like you want to sit in a blue chair instead of a green chair, or you have an affinity for Star Wars, and when you see like a room that's just full of Star Wars memorabilia, it gives you that kind of a feeling. That's exactly what they're talking about with affinity. Like if you were in a room full of Star Wars memorabilia, how would you feel?
I mean,
Well, I would feel like there's so much to look at. Like I would be really, really excited.
right. I would be really excited, but the problem is I wouldn't actually be talking to them. I'd just be looking at all the cool stuff that was in the room.
But that's exactly what affinity is, and that's like what they're that's kind of the first part of that formula is figuring out like what are they interested, like what is the interest, what do they like, what do they love, like what do they prefer, like that's really the first part of that.
Right. And then when you look at like reticence, right? So it's like, once you have identified the infinity part, it's, they look for experiences of resonance and or relatability, right? So like this is just a simple thing in like therapy, just being able to connect with, that individual. So well, let's say for example, like the client sees themselves in a character or a situation or is reminded about a previous experience. So like, for example, I hate bringing this up, but it's like if like you mentioned, like let's say PTSD, right? So like I hate bringing that up, but it's like, you might be in a situation where, if you deal with a veteran or somebody like that, right? So if unfortunately if they see certain parts of war and they come back home and they actually have to relive it and it's a constant reminder of what's going on in their lives, you know, eh, I'm not saying like every time, but you might be like, okay, well, let's say you feel like the Hulk. Do you turn into this green monster all the time? Like, do you feel like you're angry and you're wanting to like destroy rooms and do all this? And they're like, you know what? I do. That's
Yes,
exactly how I feel.
yes, I do.
He's like, yes, I
Yes, I
do.
do,
Y-
especially in Walmart or Market Basket.
Right. I mean, I agree with you, Matt, because I would be doing the same thing. But like, like in that sense, like that's what you're putting your. It's like it's really empathy. It's like learning to deal with like, okay, you know what? Let them explain exactly how they're feeling, and like, okay, let you see how it is to be in their shoes.
So yeah, I mean, and they're saying like resonance can be positive or negative. So positive um brings up like strong positive feelings like joy, excitement, happiness, like those types of things. Like if you were standing in a room full of Star Wars memorabilia and you happen to walk up and see a full size costume of Darth Vader, how would you be feeling?
I'd get
I
in
would
the
be like,
suit.
"Oh my gosh, that's so like
No, no, no. So you would say it's so awesome. I would just jump in the suit, man. I would honestly just love to
You
be
would
in
be
it.
that rude, John.
You know what? I would be that rude because I would love to see if I could fit it in. That's for the first starting. But
But if
yeah,
it's negative, they refer to it as a repulsion that can also bring up emotions that they can work with. That's being angry or sad or scared, disappointed. And I guess the one that I would think of is like, if you recently lost somebody and you're reading maybe like, one of the first Spider-Mans where his uncle dies.
oh boy, that's a tough one,
Like that could be, a scenario, or maybe you're reading Punisher and you're reading that part in the book where, basically his whole family dies.
and that's
Like
even tougher.
there could be parts of like comic book stories that like resonate with people, and being able to like go to that book and say like I know how he's feeling because I've been in this place.
I'm just glad you didn't mention Batman, man, because oh god, I mean, I'm
Hey, I
just
mean
saying.
it's there, but that's like, the resonance is basically having that experience and being able to relate it to something else.
Well, again, it's kind of like empathy. That's why I just mentioned that in the beginning. But
What's the last one, John?
all right, understanding. Right. So the combination of affinity and relatable experiences allows the therapist and client to explore thoughts and feelings in a comfortable and meaningful context. Right. So the affinity provides a comfortable, safe context for exploring otherwise uncomfortable thoughts and of difficult emotions. Through for reflection and exploration, thoughts and feelings may start to make more sense. New insights can help inform alternative behaviors and beliefs as well as new potential solutions. So it's giving them it- what for them it's really the guidance. Like they're should be hopefully forming these thoughts in their head and being like, okay, we're the guiding factor for them, but they basically come up with their own solution in the end.
Right. It would be like, that person who's going to their, therapist or whatever, and they're looking at that page where, Peter's over his uncle and his uncle's dying, and then being able to like go in other books and see how Peter Parker slash Spider-Man like overcomes that.
Right. It's having that like resilience or having that adaptability to realize that okay, yes, life sucks. We all know
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
sucks. Okay, but like the reality is how do we move forward and how do we overcome difficult situations that we can't let those really define us and we can't really make that the end like be all that's what it is no matter what we look at. No, we need to have that as a unfortunately like a motivator, an inspirator. We can be like, "Hey, listen, how do we move forward?" And yes, we need to remind ourselves of how grateful we are and all these other things, right? But like how do we get there and how do we become more empowering of ourselves and be more
Yeah.
confident in that situation because that's really what it is. I mean, we deal with all this crap in life. I mean, shit, look at the goddamn economy. I mean, I can tell you that's depressing as it is. But I'm also saying about well, I was going to say about housing rates, but I'm not even going to go there. But
Yeah. We
what
don't
I'm
need
trying
to.
to say is like we have a lot of shit in our lives, and at the end of the day, it sucks. But we need to learn how to move forward. We need to learn how to be able to, manage our lives in a better way, so that way we can become a better person or at least basically potentially a better human being overall, right? Or in this case for them. But you
Yeah.
know,
And I think like with this, without geek therapy doing what they're doing and teaching, these professionals to relate to geeks in this certain way, we would be trying to get like the affinity, the resonance, and the understanding through conversation, not looking at a book, not
right.
looking at a video game, not looking at things that we're interested in. They're trying to get us to this point through conversation and asking questions. And granted, yeah, as a psychologist and as a mental health, counselor, the questions to ask, but it makes it that much more difficult for somebody who can't put a word on how they feel, can't put a word on even begin to explain, where they're how to connect that,
No,
that
they're
bigger
right.
picture of I don't want to feel this way. I want to feel better, but talking to you is not doing this for me. And then
Right.
you look at what geek therapy is doing and having somebody come to a therapy session where, you have maybe like the Batman book where, his parents die, or the Spider-Man book where, his uncle dies, and you have these like opportunities to say, like, I know how he was feeling in this moment, and then being able to flip a few pages more and seeing how he overcomes that, and being able to talk about it in that context of a comic book.
Right. And like this is why, Matt and I agree that, this style of therapy should really be, I would say, taught more. I mean, because really a lot of, I would say our society, I mean, I'm not saying that, females don't, and and again, gamers don't, it does not matter what gender you are. What I'm saying is that female, male, transgender, gender fluid, whatever you want to be. Okay, you could be a duck for all I care. Okay, my point is,
I can be a duck.
you could be a duck if you want. You want to be a duck?
Awesome.
All right. So my point is, guys and gals, and whomever, whatever you decide to relate to,
And ducks.
and ducks, and
Wow.
wow. Anyways, guys, so like when you look at how this is being presented, is you know, y- I'm just glad that somebody decided to do this because, like, we think of, like I said, what we originally just said, with geek culture, it's not about, how the stereotypes are made and this and like that, but like, being able to have, some people relate to on in a different way. I mean, who knows? Maybe maybe one of the exercises is like you start LARPing or cosplaying, and you role play like how you feel and things like that. I mean, it'd be interesting. Don't get me wrong, but like,
I mean, that's pretty much what D&D is. I mean, it's not like
right?
LARPing, but you're acting as not yourself, so you're
Well,
able to do certain things that you normally wouldn't do in D&D.
right. I mean, you're talking about it. I'm actually saying like physically role
In
playing in
in
that sense.
D&D, there are people that go, above and beyond and actually act like their character would.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
then you got
it's
me
kind
on
of
that.
like outside of, you're not you're your character, and talking to the DM who might be playing as an NPC, like you have to have that conversation, but you're not having it, your character is in that context. And so
Mm,
that's
okay.
where D&D, I think, opens up that realm of like, you can talk to me as your character, but I'm going to set the table of, this is the circumstances that you're in, and let's talk it out, but you are your character.
So really, the DM's the therapist. Your player's the therapy's the client. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really don't. There's no such
But it
word for
might
it.
it
But yeah.
might open up those people who do play D&D to go, okay, well, I understand this character is not me, and I can talk how I want to as this character,
Yeah.
as opposed to, you're playing D&D with your friends, you have to play that certain scenario, but the therapist can actually set a certain scenario that is directly how you should be feeling, but you're in the context of, well, this is not me, this is the character. And then somehow loophole it back to go, you see how your character went through this? This is how you can do this very same thing.
Well,
Mind blown,
well, I was gonna
you
say,
know?
which brings up the next really piece is the programs behind geek therapy.
They actually have, I mean, looking through their website, they actually do have a lot. And the very first one is that Geek Therapy Network, where it's just a platform they have on their website that's strictly just for educational content. So they have written, they have audio, they have videos, and it's just about the use of popular media in therapeutic, educational, and community practice. They provide content creation consultation, sorry, and support to help professional educators, community leaders, share their experience, and experience to others. So, they have a lot of like podcasts that are directly like not theirs, but like they have certain podcasts that deal with like video games and, you know, in the context of mental health counseling.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, well, could we like see if we can, be under their umbrella for a little bit,
I probably not for like what we do personally,
No, I
but
know. I mean, it was a thought because
they
I mean, it would have been nice.
they have several. I mean, they have the Geek Therapy has their own podcast,
I'm not surprised.
but they have several others that are like you know, using D&D, like I think they have a D&D one and they have a few others. But they have this whole network
I mean, I
where
would just love to even get in contact and be like, "Hey, could we like, meet up and do an episode or something like that?" I would love to do something like that. That's just me.
but that's what creates like really the first part is like you can read articles that they have.
Right.
You can listen to some of these podcasts and really get the idea of like, you know, I'm a mental health professional. I really would love to use comic books. How do I do this? Well, you can go to some of the audio, you can go to some of the videos, you can even go to some of the articles and stuff. They have a blog, they have all these things on their website for the
Yeah.
sole purpose of educating you how to use these things in your practices.
Well, I'm not saying everyone needs to be a geek. No, actually, I'm just kidding. You really do need to be a geek in some ways. I mean, because you can't tell me that in your life, like we've talked about before with geeks and nerds and also, all these little different things. You can't tell me that there's not something in your life that you can't be passionate about, right? Because I'm not saying you have to be geeky and like, comic books and that kind of stuff and video games, but like, you need to have some sort of passion. It
No,
doesn't
and
matter
I
what.
think it applies, and that's where I think using the word media and not video games or comic books or books or
No, yeah.
in general, it's just media. Like, how do you use somebody's interest in a therapeutic setting? And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Is 100% of mental health professionals going to have to use this for every patient they have?
No.
Probably not, because there are some people that you put them in a chair and they just don't shut up.
Matt. No, I'm just kidding.
That's definitely not me.
No, I'm kidding.
You
That's the
definitely
total
have to
opposite.
you definitely have to egg me on to
Oh, I
communicate.
know. Trust me. I would love to have you as a patient because I would be doing that. But anyways,
But it's just educating them on the use of it so that when they do come across somebody that, yes, I love comic books. Great. I have a few here. Like, let's read through them and, let me know if there's something that stands out to how you're feeling right now.
right. And I mean, like even the second one, like looking at Geek Therapy Library, right? So like, they have different interventions and media summaries of like use in therapy or therapeutic educational and community practice. So,
They have a whole e-campus
oh, I'm sorry, eCampus?
on their Geek Therapy website. So you can go in there and actually like take certain courses.
Hold on
Um,
a second. You could take courses regarding this?
well, it's through them. Like it's basically just learning, what they're doing. It's not like you're going to school.
He'd be like, "Hey, 101 comic books." Like I would just love to hear what they would have to do, to go through like, "Hey, guess what? You have a certificate in gaming." You're like,
But I mean, they have, going through some of the stuff in the library because I'm in the library right now. They have something on Avatar, WandaVision, Demon Slayer,
"Oh, so you mean
Doctor
something."
Strange,
Those things that we've talked about, but yes, some of
um,
them.
Naruto,
I'm sorry.
Steven Universe,
No, no,
Harry
no, no.
Potter,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Star
whoa, whoa.
Trek. I'm going through
No,
them.
no,
I'm
no.
not
Wait a
stopping.
minute.
I'm
Hold
not
on. No, no,
stopping.
no. What did you say that just a second ago? Naruto? Did you just say Naruto?
Naruto,
You mean Naruto?
whatever. I don't care.
Oh no, it's okay because anyone who's listening out there, please shame Matt for that one. But go ahead.
You can send me a message. I'm going to ignore it and delete it probably,
Fair
um,
enough.
but I mean, it's Miss Marvel, Supergirl. Like they have all these different topics of like, how to use these things. Like I just clicked on Supergirl, City of Lost Children, season 2, episode 20, and they have like, conversation topic, feeling alone, finding oneself, identity development, trust, relatable experience, fear, anxiety, foster care, adoption, trauma. And they have like insights and certain things like this is like so super cool to be like a mental health professional and be like able to connect with somebody on that level. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're
No,
you're
yeah,
talking like,
absolutely. I mean, but it gives them a way to interact and connect in that sense, and that's nice that they have a library regarding that because then they can look it up themselves and then kind of
it's a
talk
huge
about it.
library. It's a huge library.
Well, then I'm glad. I mean, because then like part of the next one, community programs, right? So having like what is it? Online community spaces to support professionals, educators, and community leaders in sharing their expertise and experience to help and connect with others about the use of popular media and therapeutic, educational, and community practice. So, like, it's nice that they have a forum. That basically, like, granted, let's say you're not like a gamer yourself or things like that, but like maybe you can talk to somebody that maybe is, and maybe they are a therapist, and maybe they have different experiences and how they
Yeah,
relate
and
to
this
those
is
things.
like, they have a Discord, they have their Geek Therapy forum. I believe that's on the website. They have a Facebook group, and then they also are on Reddit. So their community programs, kind of are these social platforms that if you have an issue, like you can go onto their Reddit page and just be like, "Hey, I'm having this issue," and I'm sure however many people they have,
Oh yeah, no, being
within
connected.
that community on Reddit will comment and give you insights and help you in that way. Like, "Hey, I'm a professional, but I really want to use video games. How do I do that?"
Well, I can tell you, ready? It's called turn on the console, start playing. No, 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 I know, but I'm just saying, like, we would think of it that way, but like, for them, they may not think of it like that. But I mean,
Yeah,
and then like the learning programs. The
yeah.
fact that you just said, so I'm looking at this Geek Therapy U. The fact that they can actually take a course.
Online courses for professionals, educators, community leaders about the use of, just basically what we're saying. Like,
No, 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 I know, but
There
like it's
there is an
crazy.
online campus that they have that literally will teach them how to do it.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but I guess the question is do they have actually like a certificate that says you have a certificate in gaming? Like, like
I don't think it works like
I
that,
mean,
John.
I'm just wondering, I mean it'd be cool, but maybe we should take one. I think man, we should go back to school just for that one course and see what they actually teach. But and then the fact that
Welcome to the online school of geek therapy.
oh, here we go. Yeah, like,
So
watching.
Geek Therapy 101. I'm assuming most of these you probably would have to maybe pay for.
Okay, we're not paying for them. Sorry guys, we're not doing that. But maybe one day, maybe we
But
can talk
it's
about
one of
that.
those things like I think you have to l- you have to sign up and you have to enroll. I don't know if they really give you might just get like these on like
Oh, yeah, like the
online like so you finish this course or whatever, but
and then
it's cool that they have these so that you can learn how to use them in your practices. Even if you're not a professional, you can, take these courses and learn, just how to maybe connect with certain aspects of, comic books or video games.
I mean, I guess moving on for the next couple because I feel like they both kind of relate to each other, but like the fact that they have a books as well as the research behind, you know, doing all of this. I mean, it's pretty impressive how they've actually take the time to one write a book or several, but also to actually have supported research regarding all this. So that's good. I'm glad that they're
Yeah, yeah.
actually not making this stuff up.
Well, and the last part of it is they actually will help professionals, educators, community leaders publish their experience, insights, and instructional material.
That's good.
So they will actually, these professionals that have already been doing it, they will actually help them to like publish a book or publish a peer reviewed article, instructional things. Maybe they'll make a course for what this person is doing, if it's obviously
Right.
good.
Worth it. Yeah.
Um, but that's like a whole nother like that's a whole nother level helping professionals do that.
No, of course. I mean that's just above and beyond. I mean,
Yeah.
because like it's cool that they're actually wanting to do that with other people, but like the fact that even for example, like the research here, they for example, actually it says right here, our co-founder co-authored gamification, a pilot study in a community college setting. Like that's interesting how they decided already to like do the research and do all this. I mean, especially how it's not like
Now it was published in the Journal of Education in 2019.
no, 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 but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
so it's crazy how they're not even. I mean, I mean, granted, yes, they've been around for like 12 years, but like realistically, it's not like they've been around for like 20, 30, 40. Like we're talking like way like
Right.
above and beyond. But like it's pretty impressive how they've only been around less than 15 years, and they're already getting into like the bigger kind of like mental health, journals and things like that. So it's good that they're actually, taking that time and being like, you know what, we're going to help you guys, make these books, make these like instructional videos, whatever the case is, right? Just being able to be like, hey, we need more research, we need more things, sorry, I couldn't even speak there, but like resources in general. So it's nice to see that they're finally like, pushing the agenda and making sure people are at least aware of it.
Yeah, and I mean, just the amount of things that they offer, not just professionals, but people in general, like you and me, like it's a lot to have that library, to have those community programs, to have the learning programs, to have a network, and to do the books and the research, and even the next one, which is the tags, the therapeutic
I don't know
and
you mean that.
applied geek and gaming summits. That's tags with an
No,
S.
no, no, no. Sorry, to tag kids.
So they actually do a conference, a tags conference, an event series that's created with the Bodhana group. I don't know who they are, but um, so they kind of push that mission in a conference level that will bring practitioners from around the world in different fields. So the first summit that took place was April 9th through the 11th, 2021, and the theme was community. Everyone has a seat at the table.
It almost, I don't know why, but like I think I've mentioned this actually in our Thanksgiving episode or like the geeky chat, but like really the melting pot. Like I always think of the melting pot. The only reason why I say that is because you have all these different cultures, you have all these different, beliefs and in how they do certain things. And I know you and I have talked about with even with morality and gaming, like, how certain countries might, regulate their, video game, restrictions and things like that. But like, for them to say, hey, you know what, it doesn't matter, where you're from or what you're doing or whatever the case is, like
Right.
you have it and you have, we'll hear you out. We're not going to just leave you hanging off and like it is what it is. No, it's nice to, honestly, Matt, I'm not gonna lie. If they have another one, I'd be curious to see where it's at. But like, you and I have
I
talked.
couldn't tell you where it is, but
No, not even that. I told you that I, I'm gonna say this. Matt and I would love. I'll tell you this, to go to the New York Comic Con, the San Diego Comic Con. Maybe this is another one that we should definitely like. Honestly, I would really like to see what this is about. Just to see what they do and how they, they
it's
actually do their conference and whatnot.
this. I mean, geek therapy is very, very interesting, and I love what they're doing, and that's primarily why we're doing this whole episode on this, because what they're doing really does matter. They're
Right.
really pushing a side of mental health that, unfortunately, like if you go to mental health right now, you're probably waiting months to get into it.
All
But
right.
once you get into it, you're sitting in a chair and you're just literally talking to somebody. And what they're doing is they're trying to push this education that's saying, like, there's a better way to do mental health than sitting in a chair and asking somebody how they feel.
I, I think that this whole idea and this whole program, Josue Cardona. Okay, I love the name, man. I gotta meet you, man. I'm just gonna say it right now, but like, I really think he had a great idea, and I'm glad that. And I when I originally said that, he basically said, fuck you to his boss. I'm glad you did that, man. Because I honestly, I'm gonna say this because if you didn't have that inspiration, you didn't have that like innate ability to be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna show you that it is worth this time and this effort.
Oh, yeah.
Like this never would have happened. And I'm glad that you said, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna prove to the world that this is actually an important case. Because you know what, now we're talking about it in 2023. With me and Matt talking about this, but like, I'm just saying, like, you're doing a great thing. I think you should continue to, of course, for several years down the road, like, continue doing this, continue making this a big thing because honestly, video games are not going anywhere. They're never going to go anywhere. And, when you have clients and you have patients or whatever the case is, and they're, you know, maybe a little different than normal, right? We're going to say normal people, right? You need to find different ways to be able to relate in different aspects because like at the end of the day, I'll say it, Marvel movies aren't going anywhere. I mean, DC needs to step up their game. That's all I'm gonna say. But like, you know, you look at different things. You look at video games. You look at all the media that goes behind all these things. Guess what? They're not going anywhere, and they're going to continue to be making money and doing everything else. So realistically, you'll have plenty of material, my friend. So keep doing you.
Yeah, and I mean, what they're doing is really, really great, and we obviously would love to do anything to kind of support that movement,
No, absolutely.
forward, whether it's, financial or whether it's,
Yeah, financial. Okay,
doing,
we need financial. That's all I'm gonna say.
but you know where I'm getting. I
I
mean,
know what you're saying.
whatever support, like, these guys really, really do need, and that's, that was primarily what it was in my email. Like, we have a podcast. We love what you guys are doing. Like, we would love to support you in any way. We are doing an episode, about your whole organization. So I might resend that email and try to see if I can get a response.
I think you need to like find out if you can get his personal email and then be able to do it. But
Because
yeah, no.
whether we support in one way or another, like, we definitely want to help fuel their mission in any way
Right.
that we can, whether it's through, being a guest on a podcast or having a guest on a podcast. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. Like,
Honestly, I'm gonna say a Josue, okay? I would love for you to be the guest. I would love for you to be the star of the
maybe
show.
not do the whole sway.
Look, you spelled it out. I only gonna say it because you spelled it out.
I spelled it out because that's how you say it.
Right. I'm just saying
Josue.
Josue, and I
You
said
don't
it
have to do the
Josue.
Josue.
Well, I like to say it because I'm saying it the right way. But
Because
anyways,
you're rude.
I'm not rude. You know what? You know what? Josue, I need you to, if you can, if you ever become like a guest on a podcast, I'm just going to say this. Tell me if I'm saying it wrong, and I hope you tell Matt to, screw off because I would hopefully would be saying it correct, and he's just saying it, Jose, and I'd be like, no,
Josue.
Josue, right? But I'm just okay. You know what? Moving forward, I will say that, you know, this website, right? It has a lot of educational content for both mental health professionals and anyone else interested in what they do, right? And so they have blogs, they have forums, opportunities, right, to listen and discuss various content and topics. It also allows people to, connect with not just them, but also a community of people through various means. And
I like their donate button on the website. So if you go on a computer, go to their website, the very top corner, their donate button is a video game, like, 8-bit start button. Like, that just shows you, like, on that geeky level, when they were designing the website, I'm assuming, Josue,
Josue, yes.
when they were designing the website, was like, oh yeah, we need a video game insert coin button for our donate button.
No, like I said, man, I mean, you knew a lot more about this. I'm just glad that we talked about it because now I'm even more interested in trying to like relate to them or at least
Yeah, yeah.
try to, get them on the podcast or get, maybe a guest on their podcast or whatever. Cause like I would love to do that, man. I think it would be
They
a
do
great
have
time.
their own podcast. So, like I said, I did reach out and I'll probably reach out again. And, if you guys are interested in learning more, you can just visit their website, Geek Therapy. And I mean, check them out. We're not asking you guys to, donate or do something crazy, but just, check out their website. And if it's interesting enough for you, like, keep checking it out. If it's not, go back to Facebook.
No. Go back to your YouTube videos that you apparently like doing.
Go back to the YouTube videos of cats playing pianos. That might be fine for you.
But no, like guys, again, since we're going to be closing this up for at least tonight, we appreciate everything you guys do. We appreciate all the listens and the likes and the follows and even the shares that you guys like to give out. And again, word of mouth is a wonderful thing, right? Because we have a very tight social group. We need you guys to start spreading the word, man, because we love y'all. We want to make sure that this can get growing and get it, our numbers up, get the analytics up because I'm telling you, Spotify isn't the only place that we're at, right? We have Apple, we have, Amazon, we have Google, we have all these things. So like I'm telling you, spread the
We're
word.
all over the place.
So as always,
Stay geeky.